Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Toastmasters International's Successful Club Series is a set of presentations addressing the subject of quality club meetings. Delivering a speech from this series is a requirement for achieving the Advanced Leader Bronze Education Award from the former book series through Toastmasters. Every club should have an established mentor program administered by the VP of Education. Mentorship accelerates the opportunity for growth for mentees, mentors, and the club itself. A long time ago, in a club far, far away, Shane was fraught with anxiety about giving his first speech. A young man, strong in the ways of the presentational force, stepped up and offered to mentor Shane. But how could this be possible? This young man was barely half Shane's age, was barely a year into his membership, and while really funny, he barely resorted to puns. Ahead of his upcoming second term as VP of Education, Shane would like to share with us the purpose, process, and practicality of a successful mentor program for the upcoming year here at Club 404. Please welcome Shane Sievers with his speech, Weaver by Shane Sievers.
Thank you, Chris. And don't worry, for you folks that have not seen Star Wars, that introduction is where I'll leave those references. However, mentorship is undoubtedly all around us in film, in literature, and even in video games. As I mentioned before, today I celebrate 3 years of membership at this club. And when I think back to how it all started, I think I owe a lot of my early self-confidence to a man named Kevin Weaver. You see, Kevin loved playing video games, something I could really identify with. I would catch him before and after meetings, sitting in a chair, playing Zelda on his Nintendo Switch. After a few weeks, the VP of Education assigned Kevin as my mentor. Now at first, I was a little unsure if he had the experience to be my mentor. Then I watched him speak. He was funny. He was animated. He was engaging. Kevin taught me to be bold and demonstrated it one time by carrying a plastic water cup throughout the whole speech. And then in a timely show of emphasis, smashing it and throwing it to the ground as he closed out his speech. Kevin taught me to commit and be present in the moment. One Halloween, he dressed up as a comic book villain and actually fired real rounds of an airsoft pistol down to the ground, and they ricocheted off into the audience. Now, I am not advocating that anybody ever brings a firearm to a club meeting, but he was committed. Kevin taught me the importance of making your speeches memorable by having an effective introduction and an effective close. In Kevin's last club speech, he spoke his closing remarks while playing a beautiful melody on the piano from Zelda, his favorite video game. That still sticks with me. This opportunity to grow was only afforded to me because of the mentorship he provided. It is a crucial relationship to have when you're trying to refine or learn new skills, because you can't develop while you're in a vacuum. It's dark, it's lonely, and you'll probably cough from the ash and the dust. When we seek help from knowledgeable and experienced people, we can achieve our goals faster and avoid making mistakes which waste valuable time. Now, today, I would like to show a few slides from Toastmasters International's Successful Club Series on mentoring. Let's walk through a few of these slides, and I'll try to tie them and illustrate how the purpose, process, and practicality of a mentor program ties in with your growth and development. But while we do, I'd like you to imagine a time where you have either been a mentee or a mentor, be it at work, as a coach for a new employee, or maybe a new employee yourself. maybe at home as a child or even as a parent, and at play, maybe you have experience as an extracurricular activity. What does it take to be a mentor? The first thing you have to do is take a personal interest in your mentee. You're going to work with them to help figure out their goals and define what success looks like. You're going to serve as their role model, their coach, and a confidant, somebody that they can come to when they're not sure who else to ask about maybe getting specific feedback or what direction they should go next. And you're going to offer knowledge and insights. You don't have to be perfect at a specific skill or feel like you're as far along in your path or your progression, but you've got knowledge and experience that they could benefit from. And you might find you benefit in the same process. Another part of being a mentor is to help ease the transition. You're going to work with a mentee to teach them how to use Pathways program, the club websites, maybe even Toastmasters International. By giving them some of your knowledge, you're arming them with the self-confidence to continue down this road. And that's going to drive their participation, which is going to allow them to quickly learn speaking skills. Now, you might think, well, I've been a member for a little while. I don't need a mentor, or I wouldn't benefit from a mentor. But that's not true. As any mechanic in the shop will know, there's still another model he hasn't learned how to fix. So there's still improvement. Your skills, your knowledge can dull. And it's important that you connect with other, even if they're less experienced members, to continue in a mentorship format, refining skills, learning new ones. So as a mentor, you also benefit. You're going to receive perspective from the person you're mentoring. And you're going to get some diversity from the skills that they bring. If you've been a coach at work or a supervisor, then you know that by training a new member or a new employee, it's going to keep you on your toes. You're going to have to work a little bit harder to try and set a good example for those new people. And it's something hard to fully explain, but there's something satisfyingly human about helping other people succeed. Mentors are respected for the help they give others, and receiving recognition, being edified, is a wonderful feeling. Of course, beyond just the mentee and the mentor, the club also benefits in a few different ways. By having involved members, guests are more inclined to see that success and want to be a part of the club. More satisfied members continuing to learn and grow and enjoy the club is going to have people stick around longer and continue the fun. And all of that is going to lead to higher member retention. Now, you wouldn't take your car to a mechanic if he doesn't do the job well, right? It's the same thing with Toastmasters. Now, there are some qualities that you probably want to have if you're going to consider being a mentor. Of course, you don't have to be an expert at all of these, but it's important that you are available. And it doesn't have to be a total time sink. In the past, I've gone to lunch for an hour a month with some of the people I've mentored, but it could just be 15 minutes before or after a meeting. Patience, of course, a virtue, and everybody moves at different speeds. So you'll want to be able to exercise patience in working with a new member or an experienced one. Sensitivity is important. You never know where people are coming from or where they're at in their head. So sometimes you have to exercise some sensitivity around a particular subject or a specific speech or project. You want to be respectful both of their time and where they're at with their skills. Of course, not everything goes to plan. You thought oil was good for the life of the car. You were wrong, and you have to be flexible and learn to adapt, and that's an important skill to have, both for you and the mentee. One of the greatest things about Toastmasters is that we exercise these skills in a supportive environment. And so I consider that par for the course, but it's important to note that that's a quality you should exhibit. And of course, being knowledgeable, knowing where to find certain resources. And if you don't know, it's probably important that you find them. Spend some time on Toastmasters International, maybe on the club website, if you're not even sure what specific knowledge or resources you can offer, reach out to an officer like myself, the Vice President of Education, and I can help you connect with those. Confidence. Oh, that's hard to find, isn't it? I've heard it's a balance between courage and humility. And it's different in different contexts, but having the confidence that you can actually help somebody is an important quality to have. You got to be a good listener. Of course, that's part of our creed here, right? To be an effective speaker, a better listener, and a stronger leader. And that's something that you really get to exercise in a mentor relationship. And of course, you have to care. You have to have concern for others. So that's a little bit about the purpose and the relationship with a mentor and a mentee and how it affects the club. But what does it look like to actually live out that process? Well, in the first meeting, after you become the mentor, you want to sit with them. And I know that changes a little bit on Zoom, but you want to find time to connect with them and help orient them. Have they signed up for Pathways? Have they signed into the club? Have they responded to those emails? Go through those processes and get them thinking about their icebreaker, their introduction to the club. In one of the next meetings, when you connect with them again, you want to check in on them. Were they able to find the resources? Make sure you're encouraging them if they took on a role or they gave a table topic speech. Again, positive reinforcement is really critical, especially for members just starting out in this process. You want to explain responsibilities, such as roles in the club. What does it mean to take on the counter or a vote counter? And when they're ready, you want to help get their speech on the agenda. And that could just mean, again, having them contact the Vice President of Education or contacting me, and I can help get them on the agenda. Now, over time, you're of course going to want to share with them some of your own personal experiences. How have you benefited from the club? Highlight how you've already seen their progression and their growth in the club. Consider inviting them to other speaking engagements if you take part in them, or other, maybe like a TLI, a Toastmasters Leadership Institute meeting. We mentioned acknowledging their process. You could go as far as explaining what the officers do. I was in this club for about 5 or 6 months before I even realized there was an executive officer team and there was people working in the background to keep things running smoothly. And of course, every year, our club participates in an international speech contest. Get them excited for that. Tell them how it works. Maybe they're brave enough and have enough confidence by then to even take part in it. And then, of course, describing the whole organization really kind of helps you feel where your place is in this thing. Most people join Toastmasters because they want to get better at something for work or in their personal life or in their community, but they often find that there's a bigger reward in being a successful part of the Toastmasters organization, taking on an area director role or a division director role, or maybe even help run the entire region. Now, there is some accountability required from the mentee for this social contract to work. You've got to be eager to learn. You've got to be interested in and respectful of the time that the mentor is giving you. And people sometimes require communication through text messaging or phone calls or emails. Be receptive and respectful to that. Be willing to change your ideas. I've once heard wisdom is defined as the ability to receive information and allow it to change your opinion. That's kind of critical if you're trying to change something core about yourself. And of course, being loyal both to yourself and to the person that you're helping or being helped by, and showing your gratitude. Again, we talked before about recognition and edification. That's an important part of this process to show people that it matters and that the help is important to you. Of course, it can't last forever. Especially in Toastmasters, oftentimes a mentorship is a more short-term relationship. I'm reminded of the saying that if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. But if you can teach a man to fish, please come over to my house because I just bought a fishing boat and I have no idea what I'm doing with it. So the slides end here. In conclusion, there's a wonderful experience involved with mentorship. The process really works, and you'll find that when you get outside of that vacuum and you're held accountable, the mentor program can really help accelerate your process in learning and benefiting both yourself, the mentor, and the club. Now, I asked before if we could say if it's practical, and I got to say to that end, it is. All you have to do is sign up to the club website, sign in to the club website, click on the meeting agenda the mentor protege form along the middle left here, and it'll ask you, what are you interested in? Mentorship? Being a mentee? Maybe both. That's okay. So we talked about the purpose to accelerate individual and club growth. We talked about the process, who is responsible for what, and how to structure the relationship. Is it practical? Again, it is. Now, I will work with all the new members to pair them with a mentor. And I encourage of you, if you haven't found a mentor yet, to visit the club website and fill out the membership form so that we can help you continue down the road. Now, I never quite mastered the piano the way Kevin did, nor did I end up perfecting the close quite the way Mr. Weaver did. But through the help of mentors in my life, I've continued down a path of success. And Mr. Weaver, if you're out there listening, I hope you know how much I appreciate the mentorship you gave me in those first few critical months. And to my friends at Club 404 and the members, I want you to remember that in the words of Bill Withers, the late, the great, sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there is always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll proof your speech. I'll count your ers and ums for... I forgot the last verse, so we'll end it right there. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need more table topic speakers to call on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for unmuting us, everyone. Get a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, and especially Shane, I share the belief that the best mentors are the ones who lead by example. And I think, Shane, you did that in your speech. Your intro was gripping, it was engaging. You used gestures, and you finished with a bang, just like your own mentor did, as you explained in your speech, which is why I thought you did great. Overall, it was very, very enticing to think that this could actually come to our club, that this is something that is a part of Toastmasters that you are intricately tied to because of your role as VP of Ed. So I really enjoyed it. And I thought that the gestures, like I said, used were very nice. The quotes you used were, I think, especially effective in order to make certain points. I know at some point you were talking about confidence being the balance between courage and humility, and that what better display than your end song. I thought that that was another example of leading by example and being a great mentor. You used humor throughout. You were able to incorporate the car theme at some point. Very easy to not do, the difficult to do though. A few things that I noticed though, the segues. The segues were a little choppy. especially when it came to the bulleted things. I could tell that the intro and the outro were pretty well rehearsed and practiced. I thought that they were really engaging. When it came down to the bulk of all of that information, which is very difficult to present and do it with a flow, I thought that with more segues, it could really enhance a message. You could do that with better recaps, repeating things more often. Assume that we need it broken down Barney style. The timing of the slides, like when you introduce a new slide, I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure you already know this, but introducing the new slide, my mind is already on the slide. I forget whatever is being said, and I think there were some times where you jumped the gun, hit the slide, and then whatever was said after that happened was a little bit lost for me, and I think that that's probably the same for some others. And also, you could add some intro statements as a way to create more segues and break things up. That way, not only the intro and the outro are two different things, but the body makes three, and then at that point, you're just repeating things over and over and over again. As a whole, I think it was great. The outro, again, like "Lean on Me," was an outstanding way to say acknowledging weakness is a sign of strength, and as a way of gaining more accountability, we can build and grow through Toastmasters. And I thought that you did a great job of explaining why that's important and what can it do for us. So thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.